Hey YouTube, this is your girl Bree. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about depression. I know a lot of folks have experienced it or are currently experiencing it with everything going on, but let's talk about it. And let's talk about how depression is no match for God, okay? So let's first start by defining depression. What is depression? I know we have all these technical medical terms for depression, but to me, all depression is a feeling, okay? All depression is a feeling. It is a feeling that causes people to feel sad. It is a feeling that causes you to feel lonely, hopeless, and in despair, right? So let's talk about the term despair, because the term despair is used in the Bible numerous amounts of times, right? So let's start by talking about despair when it comes to prophet Elijah. Elijah was a powerful prophet. You can read about it or read more about him in First Kings. But yeah, Elijah was a powerful prophet. Elijah did what God told him to do and everything like that. But at some point on Elijah's journey, he fell into despair, aka depression, okay? And the reason why he fell into depression is because no matter the good works, no matter how he journeyed and did what God asked him to do, people were still after him. Like they are after God's prophets now. And Jezebel happened to send this message to Elijah. She sent this message to him that he would be killed. Now, who wouldn't fall into depression when somebody sends you a message saying, oh, hey, you're going to be killed? So that caused him to fall into despair because he was the last prophet that was standing at that time. All the other prophets have been killed. So he fell into depression. But how many of you know that even in our depression, God is still that comforter that we need? Prophet Elijah had enough. He prayed. He told God that he had enough and that he wanted to die. But even when depression gets heavy on us to where we don't want to live anymore, God will still meet us where we are. And that's what he did for Elijah. He met Elijah where he was. He met Elijah's physical needs by providing him with bread and water for his journey. He also comforted Elijah as well as giving him a renewed sense of purpose while he continued his journey, right? So the same goes for Job. Job is probably one of my favorite Bible characters. Job suffered for Christ a great deal. And Job remained faithful. And Job, while Job was, enduring, all of the things that he had gone through, at some point, Joseph fell into depression and in despair. And he pretty much, pleaded to God for answers as to why he was dealing with all that he was dealing with, not knowing that God allowed Satan to test him with all of that he had gone through by his animals being stolen and his servants being killed, even his children, being killed because of the house collapse while they were feasting, or even with the boils that came over his body from head to toe, even Job's wife, encouraging him to curse God and die and things like that because she had no sense and things like that. So even with everything that he was going through, he also fell in depression, and in despair. And God met him and comforted him as well and vindicated him and restored him, his health and all of his possessions and his fortunes and things like that. And so God would meet us where we are too. So no matter what we're faced with, what event that has occurred in our life that has caused us to, go into depression, God can still pull us out of that, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into scripture, okay? 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4 says, he comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others, right? Moving along, Psalms chapter 94 verse 19 says, when my anxieties multiply, your comfort calms me down. And that's why, we should invite God into our situation because he cares about us, that we don't have to carry this load. We know to give them over to God because obviously it's too heavy for us. And anything that is too heavy for us is no match to God. So I encourage you today that whatever you're feeling, pull yourself out. Invite God to help you come out of that. Spend time with him. Pray even when you don't feel like it. Fast, even if it's for a few hours. Give God an inch and he will take that inch and run a mile with it, okay? So I pray that this video encourages you. Until next time, stay blessed.